Hello boys and girls, Mr. Giomini. Wanted to come to you with a couple solving equations with decimals. Now this handout may look familiar. I actually did this one today in class, and you guys actually were able to choose the ones you wanted me to model. I'm just going to chunk these up again like I did in class today. We have the ones in the blue box here that are solved using either addition or subtraction. And as I talked about in class today, I really like equations because the steps never really change. Here we have all these equations incorporate multiplication. So to undo multiplication, we use the inverse of multiplication, which is division. And then in the bottom box, we have a bunch of equations that have addition. And then to undo, division. And to undo division, we use multiplication. So let me do one from each section there. Looking at this one, let's do, I'm going to do 7. We have k plus 9 2/10 is equal to negative 7 6/10. So again, k plus 9 2/10 is equal to negative 7 6/10. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to box in this k. When I add or subtract, I can isolate this k. Now, that I want the left side of the equation, I need the right side of the equation. Remember, we need to keep a balance here. If I have to have something on the right, I also have to have something on the left. I need to undo this addition. Well, to undo addition, I subtract. So I'm going to subtract 9 2/10 from both sides. 9 2/10 from both sides. So what I'm thinking automatically here is I'm thinking money. And I'm just going to add zeros to the end here. I'm going to add zeros here. So I really have, I spent $7.60. I spent $9.20. I need to figure out how much money I spent. And because I spent, that's a negative. So we have k. And again, as I told you here, we could think about this. If I want to write it like this, it's really negative 7 6/10 minus 9 2/10. Remember, when you subtract, you actually add the opposite of the second number. So we use that little thing we call keep, change, change. Keep, change, change. Negative 7 6/10 plus negative 9 2/10. Okay, let's take a look. I'm going to go in the tens place. 6 plus 2 is 8. Nothing in your group. I line up the decimals. 7 plus 9 is 16. And again, this will be they're both negative, and when I add and both numbers are negative, my answer is negative. So I should have a negative 16 8/10. Okay? Let's take a look at the next section, the red section. And I should have noticed this before, but really what you should do, boys and girls, is the problem that I pick, you should then wait till I pick it and then try to solve it. Pause the video, try to solve it, and then come back and watch the video and see if your answer matches what I have. Let's take a look at number 12. Actually, let's look at 13 because it incorporates a negative. So we have 5 6/10 p, so 5 6/10 is the coefficient, p is the variable, is equal to negative 11 76/100. Because I use the word coefficient, you should automatically realize that we're multiplying here. There, we're multiplying these two together. Now, just like the last one, I need to keep a balance between the left side of the equation and the right side of the equation. I need to evaluate now for the letter p. I know that if I had 5 6/10 of this p, I'd have negative 11 76/100. I want to figure out what 1p is equal to. So to undo, the inverse of multiplication is division. So I will divide both sides by 5 6/10. Divide by 5 6/10. Okay, trick part here is setting it up. What goes in, what goes out. If I draw my division bar, this 5 6/10 is now gone. We just have the p. I'm going to put the p down here. This is what I want. I have a negative 11 76/100. That would go in. I am breaking that number up. I am breaking up negative 11 76/100 into parts that are each 5 6/10 large. Now remember, when we divide decimals, or we're dividing by decimals, I cannot have a decimal in my divisor. I move it here, so this really becomes a 56 as my divisor. The dividend now changes as well. I can't just change one without changing the other. The dividend changes as well. Because I moved decimal over here once, I must move it over here once. So what I have now is negative 117 6/10. Once again, I notice I'm dividing a negative by a positive. I know my answer will be a negative. I'm going to put that negative right here. I'll put the negative up here in the quotient. I will also carry that decimal and put up in the quotient. 56 will not go into 1. It'll not go into 11, but it will go into 117 2 times. 6 times 2 is 12. 5 times 2 is 10. Plus 1 is 11. I will now subtract. That is 5. I bring down the 6. Oops, that's a 5. Bring down the 6. 56 goes into 56 1 time. Meaning that for this equation, P is equal to negative 2 1/10. Alright, oh, I think this one here was K is equal to, wasn't that negative, was it 16 8/10? Alright, so again, hopefully you paused that, solved it yourself, and then came back and saw if your answer was correct. That's the best way to probably practice with these videos. Instead of just sitting there watching the video straight through, seeing what problem I do, writing that problem down, pausing the video, attempting to solve it, and then as I go through my algorithm and my calculations, you check yours alongside with me. Okay, next one. We have dividing. We have division in all of these equations. So let's undo some division by multiplying. Let's look at 19. I think we have D divided by 4 6/10 is equal to 7/10. All right, now I have this line. That line means to divide. How do I undo division? Correct. I multiply. I'm going to multiply this whole thing by 4 6/10. It's gone. I now left with D. I'm going to multiply this side by 4 6/10. What I'm going to do over here is I'm going to multiply right down here. 4 6/10 times 7/10. Again, it helps me if I am fluent with my multiplication facts. If I'm not, this becomes very tedious. 6 times 7 is 42. The 2 goes here. The 4 goes up here. 7 times 4 is 28. 28 plus 4 is 32. Move a decimal over once. Move over twice. So move over twice in my my product. 1 and 2. D should equal 3 22/100. And that does make sense because essentially I'm multiplying 4 by something that's less than 1. Well, if I had 4 times 1, I'd get 4. But because I'm multiplying by less than 4, I should get an answer that is less than 4. All right. If I multiplied 4 by a half, I'd get, if I did 4 times a half, I'd get 2. Oh, that's not a half. That's by 2/10 there. So if I multiplied 4 by a half, 5/10, I'd get an answer of 2. Well, I'm multiplying it by something a little bit larger than that. I'm multiplying it by 7/10. So that means if I am thinking about this, that means x should be greater than 2, but x should be less than 4 if I want to give an estimate. And my answer of 3 2/10 fits this inequality as I used to help me estimate. Okay, hope this helps you out. Remember, we'll have an assessment on this stuff in the coming weeks. Take care. Bye.